Hello, I'm going to give the meaning of harmonics 9 to 16. This is part 2 in a 4-part series, and in these videos I'm just giving the meanings. In the future, I'll go into more detail where I'll make a video on each harmonic. But in these videos, I just want to give you the basic idea of what each harmonic means. I also have a free online book in the part 1 of this 4-part series. I tell you how to find that book. But let's go ahead and proceed. Ninth harmonic. So ninth harmonic means the 1/9, the 2/9, and the 4/9 aspects. The 1/9 is sometimes called a novile, 2/9 called a binovile, 4/9 called a quadnovile. I don't use the names, I just refer to the fractions. We're not that concerned with how many degrees are in each aspect. We just want to know what these aspects mean, regardless of whether it's a 1/9, 2/9, or a 4/9. The meaning is very similar. And what does it mean? Well, 9 is 3 times 3. 3 is smooth and harmonious, as we all know. It's the trine aspect. We talk about that in part 1 of this 4-part series. So you might think that 3 times 3 is just ultra smooth, but actually there's an additional quality in a 9 that's not in 3. And that additional quality of 9 is bonding with the community, bonding with family, bonding with the people and the places in your neighborhood. So imagine you've been on a trip, you come home. As you come home, the sights, the people, the atmosphere feels so welcoming. Maybe you felt homesick. That feeling of connectedness, your neighborhood. That's the ninth harmonic, that we are a part of our environment. And the ninth harmonic shows how we experience our environment, how we bond with it, how we connect with it. So that's what the ninth harmonic does. As I mentioned, I'll be making a separate video on some of these harmonics. I'll make a video just on ninth harmonic. We'll look at sample charts. We'll go into more detail. What I want to do here is to just summarize quickly the meanings of the harmonics so you have that. 10th harmonic. This is the 1/10 and the 3/10 aspect. Well, in part 1 we talked about the meaning of 5 and the meaning of 2. And 10 equals 5 times 2. 5 means play. 2 means polarity with others. Me and you. 10th harmonic, very simple. Play with others. What's an example of play with others? How about the game of tennis? You hit the ball, your opponent hits it back to you. It's you and your opponent directly facing each other. Now, in a game like golf, you have opponents. If you're going to win, you're going to get a better score than your opponents, but you're not directly facing them. You're not directly interacting with them. So golf is more of a 5th harmonic sport, purely play and creativity. Tennis is more of a 10th harmonic sport. So when you're doing charts of friends, family, and clients, and you see 5th harmonic, you will find that the person is more inclined to a game like golf, and in 10th harmonic, more inclined to a game like tennis. The play and as interaction with others. 11th harmonic. This is the 1/11, 2/11, 3/11, 4/11, and 5/11 aspects. You might be curious, how many degrees is that? Actually, at this point, we're not that concerned with it because the computer software will calculate these things for you anyway. So we really just want to know what the meaning is. What do these aspects mean? They are unstable. These aspects, the 11th harmonic aspects, are progressive, restless, and hungry for change. They can't sit still. They're dissatisfied with the way things are. Now let's imagine some different planets. What if you have Uranus aspected to Sun in the 11th harmonic? Well, we know Uranus is impulsive. Uranus in the 11th harmonic, extremely impulsive. So if Uranus is aspecting your Sun, or let's suppose there are 3 planets all aspected to each other in the 11th harmonic, Sun, Mars, and Uranus. This is explosive. This is low impulse control, unstable. It can be good for sports where you need quick response and action. We see it show up, however, in criminals because of the low impulse control. Let's do one more example How about Jupiter and Neptune? Suppose Jupiter, Neptune, and the Sun are all in 11th harmonic. Well, the 11th harmonic is restless. Jupiter and Neptune is expansive. So people with Jupiter and Neptune with an inner planet, say Sun, Jupiter, and Neptune, 11th harmonic, are restless. They usually travel a lot. They're looking to the next horizon. They're looking beyond the rainbow. They're looking, over the next mountain. It's a wanting to go to someplace more exotic. So this is the 11th harmonic, progressive and restless, and of course the exact meaning will depend on the planets involved. And in future videos we'll get into more detail on exactly how these harmonics work with particular planets involved in the aspects. Also in this bottom paragraph I mentioned the 11th harmonic is also inclined to music. This is something I've observed over and over again. I first found it when I was researching the Gauquelin data, the data collected by Michael and Francois Gauquelin. We found that the musicians have aspects like Venus-Saturn and Venus-Uranus in 11th harmonic more than other professions. And in looking at people's charts, we've seen this over and over again. We have a series of videos on rock and roll musicians. They tend to have Venus, Uranus, and Pluto aspected in 11th harmonic. So why music? I think because it's a dynamic art. As soon as you play one note, you need to start playing the next one. So that movement of music seems to have something to do with why it inclines, the 11th harmonic aspects incline to music. And I often recommend music or dance as an activity that can be helpful to a person who's not handling their 11th harmonic very well. Okay, 12th harmonic. Well, there are two 12th harmonic aspects. The 1/12th, also called the semi-sextile, and the 5/12ths, the quincunx. The semi-sextile is often considered to be a weak aspect, but actually it's very strong. If you have a semi-sextile aspect and the orb is small, we'll talk about orbs in other videos, but the allowable orb is small. If it's under 10 minutes or 15 minutes, very small orb, it's strong. And what it means is that it's an ingrained quality of the person. It's very difficult to think of the person in any other way. It's such a built-in dynamic of how they function. So suppose Sun and Uranus are in a very tight semi-sextile. The person is quick. They're spontaneous. It's just built into the way they are. You can't think of them in any other way because it pervades their personality and everything they do. So 12 equals 3 times 4, and it's the combination of this yin and yang of receptivity and flow and taking action, and it becomes an ingrained quality of the person. Now the 5/12th aspect, or quincunx, is also a very deeply ingrained quality, but there's more tension with the 5/12ths. This quincunx aspect is a little more tense, a little more difficult than the 1/12th. The person wants to play. That 5 in the numerator makes them want to do something creative, and it feels like the 7/12ths going in the other direction holds it back a little bit. So the person wants to play, but they don't want to be silly, and there's a little bit of tension going on with the quincunx. So it's a deeply ingrained quality that the person struggles with a little bit to get confident with it, to feel they struggle to find their own voice. And when they do, it's a big breakthrough. So the 5/12 creates this need to be creative, but not loose, not too wild with the creativity. Okay. 13th harmonic. This is the 1/13th, the 2/13ths, and so on. The 13th harmonic wants to move beyond the average and the mediocre. They want to be special. We often think of the zodiac sign Leo as tending to have a big ego. Actually, I don't think Leo always has a big ego. Sometimes it does. 13th harmonic also can have a big ego. It has a pride, a sense of mission, a sense of purpose, a sense of a divine direction in their lives. They may not call it divine, but something unique. Sometimes they feel entitled. You'll see this sometimes with criminals. They just break the law. You know, they just don't follow other people's laws. They just do what they want. This sense of entitlement, of freedom, of going your own way. And another thing you'll see with 13th harmonic, they have heroes or idols. These heroes represent their greatness. The following of a guru or become transcendence. These are all qualities of the 13th harmonic, moving beyond the average and the normal, and transforming yourself. Okay, 14th harmonic, very straightforward. 14 is 7 times 2. It has the quiet inner focus, this abstract and symbolic thinking, the going beyond the chatter of the mind with other people that 7 has, but it's 7 times 2. So being a coach or a trainer, I've seen this over and over again. A coach, the baseball coach, the basketball coach, very often have 14th harmonic aspects because they're training. Also people who train, who want to perfect their athletic ability, and they go on to be an Olympic level or professional level, and they train and they have a trainer. So being trained or training others, extremely 14th harmonic tendency. Another thing about the 14th harmonic is that it's private. It's quiet. Because it's inner, it doesn't go for all this chatter. You know, when the coach is training someone, it could be musical training or athletic training, any kind of training, spiritual training. It's not a show. It's not a dance. It's not something to exhibit to the public. It's something for yourself to gain mastery. And we see often with 14th harmonic the tendency to get involved in secluded groups, secret groups, retreats. So retreats, secret groups, covens, this kind of secluded or inner work. We have this tendency throughout history for there to be esoteric groups, secret groups. 14th harmonic very much tends to that. And also you just see it when people are training. It's the coach and the person training. Respect for the master, respect for the teacher. So that's 14. You'll see this training emphasis with 14. Sometimes it's not some deep, mystical, metaphysical thing. Your basketball coach, you know, these things play out in normal, everyday life. You'll see the 14th harmonic. Okay, 15, 5 times 3. So again, this is very straightforward. We have play 5 times 3, which is harmonious. We have harmonious play. So 15th harmonic doesn't want hard competition. They don't want fighting and arguing and cheating and all of that tension that comes with competition. They want play in a non-competitive way. It's a desire for life to be an enjoyable process of discovery. 15 does not handle stress well. They get uncomfortable in stressful environments. There's something in them that feels this isn't the way life was meant to be. We weren't meant to be fighting with each other, struggling with each other, comparing who's better. It just wants to have that freedom of discovery, of life, to do things because your heart is into it, not because you're trying to prove something. So the person's life is all about getting away from that kind of stress and enjoying being alive and doing things just for the love of it and the creativity. When people with a lot of 15th harmonic aspects are forced to compete or to meet strict deadlines, they lose motivation. So as long as they can just put their heart into it, they're fine. And sometimes because they have this creative flow, people encourage them to compete and put them in those situations, and it doesn't work. So you can see how helpful understanding these harmonics is when you're consulting someone. Okay, 16th harmonic. Well, all of the harmonics, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, they're the driving motivation. When you get to 16 level, it's internal. What does internal mean? It means it's a mental and it's emotional, much more than physical. So it's something deep inside the person that they want to achieve. And these higher harmonics, like 16, you might think, well, they're getting weaker. We're going with these higher harmonics. They're getting more distant from the fundamental basic, but actually they don't get weaker. This is where talent is. This is where real problems occur, is with 16th harmonic. So somewhat surprisingly, the higher harmonics are more internal. You don't necessarily see the behavior. It's something in the person. So if the person has this driving desire to learn, to study, to play music, to do art, whatever it is, it's something they feel. It's not going to show up in the way they look. It's just something inside them. Now, by the way, orbs. The orb for 16th harmonic is 1 degree. That's the maximum orb. So these aspects have to be really, really tight. The orbs need to be very small to be really powerful. And it's when you get 3 or more planets all aspected to each other in a harmonic that it becomes a dominant theme for the person. Okay. Well, that's it for now. I've got a little note here at the bottom, but we'll talk about that in a future video when we go into detail on each harmonic. So that's the meanings of harmonics 9 to 16. Thank you very much for listening, my friends. God bless. Namaste.